Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to be working on the hips, the glutes, and the psoas muscle on the front of the top of the thigh. So you'll need a block or two and a belt, a strap. If you haven't got a yoga belt, then use a dressing gown cord or something similar, and we'll begin. So we'll start with just a warm-up. So inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, as the fingers touch, turn your palms the other way and push the air away with your hands. Deep breath in, open the chest. Exhale, push the air away. Breathing in and breathing out. And then taking your arms up, interlace the fingers, turn the palms towards the ceiling, stretch the arms up, have the arms straight, have them close to your ears if it doesn't scrunch up around your neck. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears, and then see, can you take your arms back so you're opening the armpits. Don't let your shoulder blades come together. Try and keep that broadness in the back of the body, and try not to let the front ribs come forward. So navel to spine, and then push the heel of the hands up, draw the shoulders down. Breathe in as you push the arms up, breathe out as you soften the shoulders, and then release. Bring the arms in front of you, change the interlace of the fingers, turn the palms away, inhale, and this time up you go with the arms, hands just above the head. So now take the elbows back. Take the elbow points up to the ceiling. Lift the trunk, lift the sides of the body, lengthen from your waist to your armpit. Take the hands a little higher. Points of the elbows stretching up to the ceiling, and then stretch all the way up. And then release. Take a little twist to the left, so right hand on your left knee, left hand behind you, breathe in and lift your chest, and breathe out to turn. Draw the navel to the spine, inhale again, chest up, crown of the head up, exhale, roll that left shoulder back, turn your head and neck to look over your shoulder if your neck is feeling good. Lift your chin slightly to move your dorsal spine in. And then come back to the centre. Lift your chest as you inhale, and as you exhale, turn to the other side. Left hand onto right knee, right hand behind you, gripping that furthest corner of the block if you can. Breathing in to lift the chest, tummy in, breathing out to turn. Head out, looking over that right shoulder, dorsal spine in, upper back in. Lift your chin slightly. Pull on the knee and pull on the block behind you as you exhale to twist a little more. And then head back to the centre, body back to the centre, and come off your blocks. So just get rid of your blocks for a moment and come into Adho Mukha Virasana, child's pose, with your big toes together, your knees apart, and stretch your arms forward. So to begin with, let's have the fingers be on your fingertips and look towards the front end of the mat. Now draw navel to spine so you can get your hips down to your heels a little more. If you can't get your hips on your heels, then do use a block if that's difficult for you. And then from here, press your hands flat. Make sure your hands are shoulder width apart, your middle fingers pointing forward, your thumb joints pressing down as you come into your dog head down. So turn your toes under, lift your hips up. And let's just pedal out the legs, so walking out the dog so you can feel that stretch in the back of the calves, in the back of the legs. And then stretch both heels down towards the floor. Move your shoulder blades deep in as you roll the upper arms out and pull the kneecaps up, pull the thighs up into your dog head down. Deep breath in. Exhale. Rest down in child's pose. If your head doesn't easily touch the floor, you can always put a block underneath your forehead, as well as a block underneath your hips if you need that. Okay, this time we're going to come into three-legged dog, so come back up onto your hands and knees. Check out your hands, make sure that the weight is rolling towards the thumb side of the hands. There's finger joint and thumb joint pressing down firmly. Turn the toes under and lift the hips up. This time take your feet a little closer together and raise your right leg, but only to hip height. So I want you to flex the foot, move your chest towards your left leg, turn the toes down so the hip stays square, and then release. And change sides. So raising your left leg just to hip height, extending into that heel behind you, extending into the heel that's on the floor, keeping the hips square, so don't let that left hip lift, and then release. Rest down in child's pose, this time with your hands by your feet. Take a deep breath here. And then we'll come up into dog head down again, and this time we're going to let the leg lift really high, so we're not worried about keeping the hips square. So come up into your dog head down with your feet a little closer together. Raise your right leg high, let the right hip open, and press the left heel towards the floor. It's quite nice to point the toes in this one. Bring your chest closer to your thigh. And then release. And change sides. Left leg up, right heel down, chest towards the thighs. Open that left hip. Think standing splits. Okay, and then release and rest down. Deep breath here. And then rolling up. So, we'll come into lunges now. Lunges are going to work on this psoas muscle here on the front of the thigh, the top of the front of the thigh. You can have a pad underneath your knee if you've got any problems with your knees. So we're going to start with the right foot forward and the left knee back. Now check that ankle and knee are in line. Don't let the knee come forward of the ankle or over the toes. Fingertips in line with your toes, and then if you're more flexible in the hips, do take this left leg further back. It'll give you that extra stretch in the psoas muscles. Now lift the head and lift the chest. Turn the back toes under. Keep the pubic bone towards the floor so the hips low, don't let them pop up. As you lift your back knee just a millimetre off the floor and hold it there. Your leg might start to shake a little, that's absolutely fine. It'll get stronger the more that you do it. Now from there, keep the head and chest lifting. Slowly straighten the back leg. Push the heel, the back foot towards the floor. And don't let that front knee come back, so keep the front knee over the front ankle. You do have a feeling of actually slightly taking that front knee forward, but it doesn't actually come forward. Lift the head and chest again, push the back heel towards the floor, open up the back of the knee. Now from here, bring your back knee towards the floor, but don't actually put it on the floor, just let it hover just above the floor. Couple of seconds. Hold it there, a little bit longer, and then release it down. Step back into dog head down, have a stretch out in dog head down. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then come down into kneeling and take the left foot forward. Fingertips in line with your toes, knee over ankle. Chest lifting, head lifting. Maybe take that back knee further back if you feel you can. Turn the back toes under and let the back knee lift just a tiny bit off the floor, so it's just hovering above the floor, and hold it. Just be aware of the sensations in your body. Be aware of any strength, any weaknesses you have there. The muscles will get stronger the more that you do it. Keep the chest lifting. And then straighten that back leg, but try not to let the hips pop up, and push the back heel towards the floor. Deep breath here. As you open up the back of the knee, really strong and straighten that back leg. And then we're going to bring that knee down towards the floor, but not quite on the floor. And let it just hover there, holding it, breathing a little bit longer, and then let your knee come down to the floor and step back into dog head down. In your dog head down, press your hands firmly into the floor, roll the upper arms from the inside out. It might be beneficial to have a very slight bend on your arms just to get that rolling action. Works for me. And then pull the kneecaps up, pull the thighs up, chest towards the thighs. Come into plank pose. Navel to spine. And then just see from plank pose if you can raise your right leg a little off the floor, extend into the heel, place it down again, lift the left leg off the floor, extend into the heel, place it down again, back into dog head down, and rest in child's pose. And again, rolling up and coming back into Upper Vista Konasana. So for this one, you may need blocks. I like to have them this way, one like that and one like that, like a kind of ramp, so that you're sitting on the very front edge of the block. Or a corner of a blanket. A corner of a blanket's quite nice as well, especially if you don't need as much lift. Just to give you that feeling of tipping forward in your pelvis. So if you're sitting on the corner of the blanket, you won't really see the corner of the blanket once you're in position. Feet are up, back of the knees pressing down. Be on the centre of your heels, so don't let your toes roll in or out. And then press the thighs firmly down. Bring your fingertips in front of you and lift the chest. Now feel the lift from the side ribs to the armpit, to the crown of the head. Push down with the backs of the legs. Toes are up, centre of the heels pressing down. We're going to come forward, but just see how it feels for you. You don't have to come forward very much. Fingertips walking forward, chest lifting. Now the pelvic rims, front of the pelvic bones here, try not to let them turn down. You want to keep them lifting as you come forward. So walking your hands forward, pelvic rims lifting, back of the legs pressing down, toes up, centre of the heels pressing down. Breathe in. If you can go a little further, then go a little further. Lift the chest. And then if you're going further, if you're flexible and you can go further, think of bringing the chin towards the floor first, rather than the head. When you take the head down, it tends to round your back, and we're looking for a flatter back here. And then press the legs down once more, and then walk your feet back. And then bring your fingertips to the side of your hips and lift your chest. Now we're going to turn towards the right leg. You may need a belt to put around your right foot there. So without moving your hips, turn towards the right. Have your hands either side of that right foot and start to walk your fingers down towards that right foot. If you can hold the foot, hold the inside and outside edge of the foot. Now it's your left leg that you have to be aware of, because this hip wants to lift up. So keep the weight into that left hip, the left groin, the left thigh pressing down. So if you're not holding your foot, hold your belt, lift your chest, breathe in, and as you breathe out, lengthen down. Try to keep your navel moving from left to right, so that when you come down, your nose is towards the inside of your knee. Draw your shoulders away from your ears, take a deep breath in, And a deep breath out as you go further down. Crown of the head towards the toes, but all the time you're thinking of your left leg being heavy, grounded. And then inhale, lift the head, lift the chest. Walk your hands back, come back to the centre. And let's go to the other side. So turning from the waist towards your left leg. Keeping your thoughts in this right leg as you push that right hip down. Remember, if you're using a belt, you can take the belt around the ball of the foot, I'll show you, so that you're working like this with your back upright, and you can just come forward a little bit. All the time, this is the more important, to keep this up rather than letting it come down. So, starting to walk your hands down that leg, taking hold of your foot, lifting your chest, lengthening your body down over that leg. So inhale, and as you exhale, come forward and towards your toes. Keep your thoughts on your right leg, your right hip pressing down. Breathe in, breathe out as you go a little further, shoulders away from the ears. Move the navel from left to right. Inhale, lift the head, lift the chest. And then up you come. Bring your hands onto the back of your thighs. Bring your feet together and have a little lie down on your mat, on your back. Take your feet as wide as the mat. Let your knees touch. Stretch your arms out in line with your shoulders and let your knees drop over to the right side. Lovely stretch on the lower back. And back to the centre and over to the other side. Keep your shoulders on the floor. And then come back to the centre. Straighten out your left leg. Hug the right knee in towards your chest and hold on around the shin. If you've got knee problems, you might want to hold on around the back of the thigh. And then breathe in, and as you breathe out, draw that knee towards your chest. Inhale. Exhale, knee towards your chest. Breathe in. Breathe out as you draw that knee closer to your chest, and then maybe lift your head up. Keep your navel pressing down towards your spine towards the floor, and then release the head down again. And change sides. So straightening your right leg. Check that the outer ankle on the right foot is in line with your outer hip. So you're not crossing over the midline of the body or taking it too far out. And then breathing in, breathing out as you bend that knee towards your chest. Inhale. Exhale, knee to chest. So feel that compression in the top of your thigh. Try not to let the left hip come towards the left shoulder. Move the outer hip down towards the bottom of the mat. Breathing in, raise the head, push your navel to spine to the floor, and exhale down. And then release. Now we're going to take the right leg up. We're going to bend the knee and try and keep the shin vertical, holding onto the foot or holding onto your belt. Inhale, exhale as you bring the knee towards the chest, still keeping this shin vertical, and then move the knee slightly over to the right. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, see, can you bring your knee closer to the floor. If this is really difficult, if you've got really stiff hips, then have your left leg bent. That makes it a little easier to bring the knee to the floor. But when you've got your left leg straight, it helps to keep the left hip grounded. So it doesn't matter how far down you go. It's about feeling that stretch in the hip, in the glutes. And then release. And change side. So either right leg bent or right leg straight. Bend up your left leg and check that the shin is vertical. Breathe in, breathe out as you draw that knee down towards the side ribs. Sole of the foot stays looking at the ceiling. Breathing in, breathing out as you draw that leg down. Inhale, exhale, draw it down, and then release. Okay, we're going to do a softer Bhujangasthasana, and so you'll need a belt for this, unless you can hold your toe, and take the belt around the ball of the right foot, and when you straighten out your left leg, again check that the outer ankle is in line with your outer hip. Hold the belt fairly close up towards the foot, so don't have your arm bent, hold it high up, and then stretch your other arm out in line with your shoulder, have the palm facing up, and for a moment just make sure that your legs are straight. So if you can't come to 90 degrees, just give yourself more belt and have your foot further away, rather than having it at 90 and straight. So we are trying to work with straight legs. Then breathing in, as you breathe out, bring the foot a little closer towards your face. Inhale, exhale. It may not only be a millimetre, but try and bring that foot a little closer towards your face. Breathe in, breathe out, and closer. And then go back to 90 degrees. Inhale. As you exhale, take the leg out to the side, trying to keep your attention on your left leg. So this thigh has to stay pressing down. The toes flexed, extending into both heels. It doesn't matter how far down your foot goes, you're trying to keep your left hip grounded and your left shoulder grounded. And then come back to the centre. See if you can take your foot a little closer to your face. Inhale. As you exhale, out to the side, up a bit towards your shoulder, out to the side, up a little bit towards your shoulder. And again, keeping your attention on the left leg. Imagine that your heel is going to hit the floor first, if it was ever going to reach the floor. So your heel heavier than your toes. And then come back to the centre. And then let's change hands. So stretch the right arm out along the floor. Now this is a subtle movement, so there's not going to be a lot of movement that you can see, but you're taking your right leg over to the left side now. This hip will lift a little, draw the right leg down into the hip socket. It should feel quite intense. And hold it there for a couple of breaths. And draw that leg down into the hip socket. And then come back to the centre. Release the leg and change sides. So taking up your left leg, belt around the ball of the left foot, outer ankle on the right foot in line with your outer hip, right arm stretched out. And we'll start by just getting this stretch on the hamstrings, the back of the leg. So breathing in, breathing out as you feel where you are today. See how much stretch you can get in that hamstring there. Breathing in. Breathing out as you bring the foot just a little more towards the face. A little more maybe. Again, remember you're just working with your own body, so if you're here, absolutely fine, you're just trying to see where you can go today. And then back to the centre. So at 90 degrees, breathe in and breathe out, and take that leg straight out to the left side. Keeping your attention on this right hip, not letting it roll up, keeping it down, keeping the abdomen engaged so the navel stays in the centre. It's a good idea to think navel towards the right side when you're taking the left leg over. I've got a little wall here, didn't mean to do that, but if you have got stiff hips, it's quite nice to just rest your foot on the wall or on a chair and just have a feel of the movement rather than overstraining the ligaments there. So back to the centre. Inhale, exhale, foot towards your face. Breathe in, breathe out, maybe go a little more, maybe not. And then taking that, if anyone can catch the big toe, then please do, just make a loop with your fingers around your big toe. And then from there, breathing in, breathing out, as you take the leg over to the left, up towards the shoulder, over to the left, up towards the shoulder. All the time your attention in your right leg. Navel towards the right. And then come back to the centre. Change hands. Keep my belt visible. And then we're taking the left leg over to the right a little. And then feeling that stretch. So don't let the leg move down towards the bottom of the mat. Feeling that stretch, draw the leg back down towards the hip socket as if you're trying to get that left hip back down on the floor. Hold it there. Keep the abdomen engaged, navel in the centre. And then come back to the centre. And release. And just hug your knees in towards your chest. A little roll from side to side. And then roll all the way over and come up into hands and knees. So we'll have a go at pigeon pose. I know pigeon pose is a hard pose for some people, and if you've got dodgy knees, it's probably not a good idea to do this one. So if you're okay, we're going to take our right knee towards the right wrist, the outer right wrist towards the edge of the mat, and then bringing that right foot up towards the left hand, sliding your left leg back, so just have a check and make sure it goes straight back, not out to the side, and then from there you are trying to sit into this, lifting your chest. Now if your hip is really high, then you can use a block or some support onto that hip. I'll show you on the other side. Breathing in, and then as you breathe out, walking your hands forward and maybe bringing your head towards the floor. If that's too much, then just stay lifted. If you're not feeling much in this hip, in this right hip, then maybe try and move this right foot further forward so it's more parallel, so it's more in line with your right knee. From there, just take a few deep breaths, breathing into that tight area, and maybe try and feel if you move your left hip closer to the floor, do you get a bit more stretch? And then from there, walking your hands back. Now this next bit isn't for everybody, just a little extension if you want to work that a little bit harder. You can bend up your back leg, take your left hand behind to catch the ankle, and just see if you can bring that heel closer to the bottom. And then release. Take your hands flat and carefully step back into dog head down. And just walk out the dog. Stretch your heels down. And then come back into kneeling for the other side. So if you're feeling that your hips are just not level, you can use props underneath that left hip. So this time you're taking your left knee to the outer edge of the mat. You're bringing your left foot up towards the right wrist. You're sliding your right leg back. So if this is very high, you can put blocks under there for you to kind of sit into, or a blanket, and then lift the chest, breathing in. Now just move your hips from side to side so that you can feel where you need to be to get the hips level. And then walking your hands forward, maybe just to here, or maybe all the way down, and let the head come down. Keep the right hip rolling towards the floor. Couple of deep breaths. right hand behind to catch, and seeing if you can just bring that heel a little closer towards the bottom. Quite a strong movement in that thigh there. Okay, and then from there, carefully releasing, coming back into dog head down. And then rest in child's pose. Adho Mukha Virasana. Okay, from there, come into Baddha Konasana. So you can have a block, 2 blocks, a blanket, whatever props you need, so that when you bring your feet together, your knees are out to the side. Try not to have your knees higher than your waist. So if you're very flexible in the hips and you don't need any blocks, then that's fine. And sometimes you get a bit more opening in the hips if you open up the soles of the feet, like pages of a book, and your knees might come down a little bit further then. So holding on to your ankles or your feet and opening up the soles of the feet, try and see which knee is less flexible, or which hip is less flexible. So you can see on mine, the right knee is higher. So I'm going to just use my elbows to just give that a little bit of pressure there, just to open that up a little bit more. I'm going to let this one raise a little, just to get a bit more stretch on that hip. So then put both elbows down onto the thighs and press the legs open. So your chest is dropping at this stage, that's fine for now. As you just open up. And then hold your ankles and just butterfly the legs. And then lift the chest as you come forward. Take your hands forward. Lift the head, lift the chest. And then let your head come down. Walk your hands back, hold your ankles, lift the head, lift the chest. When you bring your legs together, put your hands on the outside of your thighs, and then stretch your legs out straight. Fingertips at the side of your hips. Do use a block if you need to sit on if your back is collapsing a little. And we'll just come into a forward bend. So inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, reach forward. Breathing in, lift the chest. Breathing out, come all the way forward. Reaching your fingers past your feet if you can. Inhale and exhale. If you can't hold your feet, then do use a belt. Lift the head, lift the chest. Press the backs of the legs down as you come forward. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out as you lengthen the crown of the head towards the toes. Shoulders away from the ears, and then inhale, and up you come. Lie yourselves down, bring the soles of the feet together, the knees up to the side. Make sure the tailbone is moving towards the heels, and just rest in Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay, thank you all.